Hi, welcome back. I'm doing a fun project today. This is working with leather paint. Well, I had these leather paints that I got from Amazon, and they're great. You can mix them together and get the colors you want. This is just the range of colors I use for this project. And they're water soluble, which is nice. You can clean them up with water. So these were my boots I had. It's my favorite shearling leather boots. I just love them, but I don't like the color. And even when I bought them, I got them on sale. And I bought them knowing I'd have to do something to them because they had this weird glittery stuff, which I didn't like. So I decided I would decorate them and make them my own. So first of all, I put on a couple coats of white as a base coat so that my finished product would be nice and bright on top. And yeah, it took a while. Now you can, of course, mask off, the sole and the signs and all that with tape or whatever you want. But I just go for it and try to be neat. And yeah, you can use smaller paintbrushes if you want to. These synthetic, somewhat stiff paintbrushes, like the one I'm using, they're very inexpensive and they're really great for this because they have a nice sharp edge and you can really control where you're painting. And yeah, I'm going to speed it up. I'm not going to show you every second of this project because it gets a little boring. But you get the picture. And I guess I could have tried to do that rim around the top, that cloth um, brown thing that I'm avoiding, but I don't know. I thought it might crack or something. It's not leather, it's a fabric. So I just left that brown. And I didn't want to put it on too thick because I didn't want to have like marks of where the paint is and where it isn't from the brush strokes. So yeah, after it dried, I decided it's going to need a second coat. So I went and put a second coat on all of it. And yeah, it still wasn't, like solid white, but it was pretty darn light. So I figured it would be a good surface to do my design on. Now, of course, you can figure out your design earlier. You don't have to draw it right on your boots or your project. You can do it on paper and then transfer it. I just drew it on with a pencil on my boot and then slowly painted in the different colors that I wanted, knowing that I was going to have to do a second coat because even though I painted it white first, it still doesn't cover terribly as solid as I wanted it to. So yeah, this is a smaller paintbrush. So yeah, you can use smaller brushes or, whatever you feel comfortable with. This area has already had its first coat, and then, see, I kept the different colors in these little plastic containers. And then I had to put a second coat on it just to try to even out the color. The second coats always come out faster because I guess you don't have to be quite as picky about getting every single going to the edge perfectly because you already have it outlined. So it always seems to go faster doing a second coat. Another good thing about doing a second coat is you can notice little spots that you might have missed, and then you can touch them up that time. Like there's a little white speck right there. So I did end up getting that fixed. After I did the second coat on all the areas, I mixed up a color for the background because I didn't want to leave it white. And I used the blue that I showed at the beginning of the video and mixed it with white so it wasn't quite as intense a blue. I wanted a little bit lighter. And because it was the background, I did mix up a bunch of it because I didn't want to run out and then have to start and do the whole background again because I'd never get the exact same value. So when I was done with the blue and after it dried, I did put a second coat of blue on it so that it came out really solid blue background. And then I let this dry, which it dries really quite fast. But because my next step is going to be with the marker to outline it all, I wanted to make real sure it was completely dry. I used a Sharpie marker for this project. They come in different thicknesses, but they're permanent, and that's what I really wanted to go with. So you can see how I started doing some of the lines on my boot. And this is the final project, and it was a lot of fun. Thanks for watching, and go have fun with your leather goods.